Oh,
And it just, it's such a slog, because you have to look at, them to see if they're important
right,
or not.
yes.
And people, I mean, I'm glad that constituents send email.
Tracy, can you hear me?
Can hear you, Ted. Sounds a little froggy.
I think it still needs to go through that. I'll send you a spreadsheet. I think you don't know. So, maybe we can. Where the latitude, you know.
Just like everything else.
The overall, one size of that, it's gonna be 48, 56 plus 80. Oh,
Some of the teachers have been on before, but then
over it. So one was the old three, I believe.
Yes.
So at least I read it. We'll call it.
Yeah, I think I should do a survey. Yes. Well, everybody knows.
All right, that sounds good. Perfect.
No, aren't they good? I mean, I don't know the big brownies bad, but these are the best. These are the bomb, Tracy.
Thank you. Good.
Go fast today.
It should go fast. I guess so. So,
Robert.
the tribe is sick.
Mike Timmons called in, he's sick.
And I sent him a Zoom link. He thought he might try and appear via
He
Zoom.
called me this morning, he's not.
Oh, he's not, okay. Ted Cushing is on Zoom. Debbie Condado is gonna try, but she said she was having some difficulty. Service.
And Russ Fisher, he won't be.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, he's grabbed too.
And Connor.
So mad at work yesterday.
We're up to 9, the
I
bottom
was down
hallway.
I was down to like, I was on like my fourth guess. I
And then
had
we had Ted on Zoom.
the last
We have
four
Herbert on Zoom.
So it could have been
And
one of
so we have a lot
seven.
of.
And you get to like, it will be this line and I'm like, yeah, that was.
Because like, how did I get that free? So.
Right here, like, wow. You going fishing in that weather? You got one of the city. I'll bring you some. Oh, the highway? Yeah, we put a school in the. I forgot.
Well,
I figured out school enough.
I mean, you never done that one.
Valerie for Salvation Army and so it was the office.
Yeah.
That's what I was just pulling up my resolution because I'm like. And is it 2/3 of? Oh, it is.
Yeah, no. Oh my God. I was like that too, not that.
Yeah, it was. Fire suppression.
Yeah, they're right. So it's, you know,
Yeah, I asked Matilda about that snow.
Yeah.
And he said that's something they've been
stretch it
doing.
out and stuff.
Before he got there, and I was like, "Oh, you mean like that?" He said. Since they stopped letting them put it on. Yes.
Or 2/3.
And that's why I was like, where is it?
Yeah, I said, yeah. I don't see another
Were they just leaving the truck and yesterday or what? Oh, the group went there.
And,
I need to know if it was club or through there.
Yeah, the 12 hour, but then they were.
Right now we have 12, 13.
They were there by the bridge over there, too, there, they got the highway traffic, walking both right. But we were back up.
Well.
We have 2 online. So Michael's helping you
Changing it even to see your more profit.
Just sharing a few things on it.
And now I looked in that my fan got it. Diana.
And I was scheduled several rounds, so there's still a high. There's no. Over an hour.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
They just got this.
All of the creations of the money. By roll call vote, they were receiving the yellow games, third party tenants involved with the trustee.
Yeah. 3 minutes.
Someone, well, I think they need to find out what they can do. So they're not doing it this year. I talked to the guys from There's townhouses there by the hockey rink and Carpet City, whatever, they bought that property, it's not required, all they're gonna work it more, sure. But,
Because what?
but I told them, you know, it was 40, you can understand the challenges of the alley.
We turn it down, and then all of a sudden.
What percentage of the structure do you have to leave, and maybe will keep your
Well,
whole.
the other problem is.
Well, yeah, no, there's a lot of challenges there. Yeah, they'll probably never.
You know, but they got to tear that down.
Set.
And we do have rent tenants on, so that. Yeah, we have 16.
I never really garnered.
Yeah.
It was sitting there.
Well, these guys, come off as pretty classy, they're not gonna try to care.
Said, Russ Fisher is, that was on.
Oh.
So she was gonna try, and she emailed me this morning that. Yep, it's been pretty sketchy, she said.
I heard he wanted to clear it down, but maybe they reconsider it if you're saying like.
How's it going?
I'm not gonna tell this thing people weren't, we'll tell you that. You're on your own.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, it's 9:30, we're going to call the United County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. There'll be a brief moment of silence for our troops, law enforcement officers, and emergency responders, followed by a prayer invocation and a pledge of allegiance. Any supervisor here want to do a prayer?
Not exactly a prayer, but it will be. Government is instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness
of the people and not for the profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. John Adams.
Yes. I have one.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
announcement by the chair to make sure everybody uses the microphone when speaking. I'm sorry, we gotta do roll call.
Joe Walter,
Here.
Hannah is absent. Newman,
Good morning, Tracy.
good morning. Schreier,
Here.
Fisher is absent. Condado is absent. Briggs,
Here.
Ottinger,
Here.
Harris. Here. Hess,
Here.
Jensen,
Good morning, and here.
good morning. Ives is absent today. Sorgel. Here. Lopez. Here. Timmons. Oh, we lost Timmons. Reed,
Good morning.
good morning. Couches,
Here.
Almakinder,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Cushing,
Here.
Halowinski,
Here.
16 present, 5 absent. And Mike Timmons is Timmons. Timmons. I can visually see him.
You can see him.
He's here.
I heard
Mike, can you hear us?
Bob, try my phone, see if he's not getting it. We'll put him absent for this part.
Yeah.
And he answers later.
Yeah.
All right, there's 16 present, 5 absent. We can conduct, we have a quorum, we can do business. Item number 4, accept the minutes of the December 17, 2024 meeting.
Move to accept the minutes.
You have a motion and there was a second? Somebody second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Reports broadband, Supervisor Sorgo.
Had a fun month. We met with the different ISPs that are interested in looking at the BEAD funding. And the broadband committee did deliberate, check out all the different ISPs and picked one that we are promoting to get the points for the BEAD, and that is Bug Tussle. And there were multiple reasons, but they're already building and they have fiber in our communities, at least in some of our communities, so we thought, based on all the factors, that they would be our best choice. Obviously, with the cold, there's nothing going on with plowing right now, it's a little too bitter. But in the report, it shows that we have different towns that have supported us for BEAD. We have points that we are allowed to give to help select who we as an actual broadband committee would like to promote. Then the broadband company has to put their report in and give the reasons and then look for the funding overall. So we're hoping that that goes through by February. Otherwise, the report is pretty self-explanatory. We're moving forward. We're hopeful that everything will work out well and that we can keep building and get everything going. Any questions, or Tony?
Yeah, so with this presentation, we had 4 ISPs that were interested on presentation. The last round was done on January 6th. Charter chose not to present. They were not really interested in whether they got any support from the county or our organization. And so they will put the grant in. As our knowledge is, we are going to have 4 ISPs put in for our county. It's up to the PSC to decide who awards them. We have 5,644 businesses or residents that do not have broadband, about 18% of our county. And so the reason we picked Bug Tussle is because Bug Tussle assured us that they would go in with their grant for all 5,644 residents with their grant application. So this is a grant application we're supporting, and that's 140 business units. So the PSC put our county into 140 business units. And so we had Frontier come in and they only want to do maybe 2,000, and Bertram does not have any current fiber in our county. And Charter is going to put a proposal in and didn't want to help the 12 points that we can help them with. So they're going in separately. And so we chose to go with Bug Tussle because they come through with the last package. They assured us that they would go for all of our county, and that's our goal, is to get internet to the whole county. So.
Any questions? Tony, this is 100% grant funded, no county tax levy dollars, correct?
Correct.
And we don't know how many $1 million we'll get.
Well, our goal is to, they have a complicated formula on how they do it. You know, you could get X amount for this location, X amount of that, and it's 20%. There's $1 billion, a little over it, for the state of Wisconsin. If you do the simple formula, we should get 25 million, but it looks like we should get more because they're putting higher dollars on certain business units because they're harder to get to it. And it's gonna cost more money to run your fiber in certain areas. So our goal is, we hope between 25 and 35 million we'll get out of this grant.
Steven,
Yeah, question specific to item number 3, and that's concerning the LIO and Buildings and Grounds Corporation Council as well, and regarding the legal easements to provide access to county facilities. Can I assume that means also that this will be at no expense to the county? Because that was my understanding when we went into this agreement, that fiber is being provided to all county facilities.
Morning.
Morning.
If we talk long enough here for like a minute or two, Mitch Olson from Bug Tussle, he was currently in town of Monaco. And I told him to obey all the speed limits so that the sheriff doesn't come up here with him with a speeding ticket. He's on his way here from Green Bay, and he must have got a little bit of a late start, but he'll be here momentarily. When all of the stuff was laid out on how many miles we're gonna put in 180, and then we added, I think if the county board was here, we added 24 million at the very end?
I believe we added 6 million.
Yeah, the project right now is hovering around 28 million
Correct.
in bonding. Included in that is 2.5 or 2.6 million in PSC grant dollars, and another 1.5 million that was originally coronavirus dollars that was converted back to a loan. That loan has not yet been executed, it's still hanging out there. They put in a series of very expensive pieces of fiber around the city at our request. Now, they have now come very close to all those county facilities. And then we ran into winter, but we are currently working with Bug Tussle on determining what those costs are for those. In some cases, there's like, at the facility over there in the Triggs Shopping Center, that's less than 50 feet to get into the building. Because what Bug Tussle did is Bug Tussle ran a lateral piece of fiber going east and west and brought us right up next to the building. And that was originally a pretty pricey pull. I think for those of you that sat on that committee, we tried to see what the market was. We put out an RFP. We found out that it was pretty expensive to do that digging last year because there was no contractors available. So they put those prices, the prices were pretty high. We got a response from Van Eert and another response from another company, and at the time, the county chose not to hire either one of them because of the prices. being the way they were. So with that question, we are working on that right now, on developing what that agreement is. And that'll be a great question for Mitch Ives, or excuse me, Mitch Ives, yeah. For Mitch from, Bug Tussle, Mitch Olson. So
So can
hopefully,
we continue when he comes?
that's a
I
perfect
think
question.
there's a resolution on that, right?
Yeah.
We have, the solid waste was another facility that was really important to us. We've now got, interduct right out on Highway K, right out in front of that solid waste facility. That would have been an extremely expensive proposition if the county was gonna try to bury fiber all the way from Rhinelander out to solid waste. And by the design and the input that many of us had, we were able to get that original design to come right down on K in front of solid waste. Now we gotta get it from solid waste, County K, out into the building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that when we get the consent agenda, somebody pull resolution 5/2025, till up and we can finish the conversation.
Okay.
Sure, and just so the board knows, that resolution has nothing to do with the question on here, but we can still talk.
It gives us.
That's the summer
we can talk
project,
now then.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully that
Okay,
helps.
any other questions? All right, thanks, John. Kyle. Okay, item 6, public comment. Anybody in the audience want to make a public comment? Anybody? Looks like all staff. All right, we will go on item 7, consent agenda. There's 6 resolutions for appointments.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
Okay, any changes to the consent agenda?
I would like to pull item resolution number 5, 2025.
Second.
Any other? Okay. Clerk will call roll on the consent agenda.
Couches,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Cushing,
aye.
Walter,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Timmons,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Sorgel,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Lopez. Aye. Halowinski,
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent, consent agenda passes. We will go to resolution 5 when Mitch shows up. We'll go on to resolution 7, 2025, offered by supervisors of the executive committee to reclassify a full-time account technician, billing specialist position, and a part-time 50% billing clerk position to finance technician position with the new human service department effective January 1st, 2025. Billy?
I'll let Mary go to the podium.
Morning. So as you all are aware, the Oneida County Human Service Department has now been in operation for 21 days. So you will also notice we have quite a few requests on your agenda today. This first request is for a reclassification of 2 existing positions. It's 1.5 FTE, 1 full-time, 1 part-time position. They basically do the same function. These are that do our billing for Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance billing for some of the services we provide. In my now 7 months as interim director and director, have been evaluating positions with my financial manager and determined that this is really a critical position within our department. It was in a lower pay grade at the Human Service Center than the other financial positions. And our request is to bring that up to the other financial positions. Because of the technical knowledge that is needed, insurance billing and Medicaid, Medicare billing is very complicated. And having, staff that can, do that accurately and efficiently, will just help us to, maintain or increase our revenues, which offsets county tax levies. So very critical position, and so we are requesting a reclassification. I did indicate in there, I'm not requesting any additional funding. I believe that through some efficiencies within the department, and with better billing practices, we will increase revenue. That's not a guarantee, by any means. If we don't realize that, we certainly would be overspent compared to our 25 budget request. But it's early, it's January, and so we really do believe that we will be able to make that business up.
So Mary, at this point, it's not increasing your budget, just increasing the personnel, you'll handle it with your supposedly budget.
Correct.
Any questions for Mary? Clerk will call a roll.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a question for Mary, but I do have a question about the signatures on this particular resolution. There is one crossed off. And it does lead, or at least poses for me a question, when we do get signed resolutions from a committee, it would be nice that we could at least have some acknowledgement on whether it was unanimously passed at committee. And I wouldn't know what to take from something like that if someone signed and then appeared to cross their name off on a resolution. Did they not support it? Did they change their mind after the fact? Can you change your mind after the fact, after you voted? And then, I mean, that would be concerning to me, as right now this is a document before us and also being scrutinized potentially by the public, and I wouldn't want us to create any unnecessary confusion as a result. So I'm just gonna support that maybe moving forward. We ask that when committees take votes on that, that we could somehow record that on those resolutions so that when it comes before us, we know what that is.
Okay, I think technically the signatures are to approve forwarding it to the county board. I don't know if the signatures mean they're for or against the resolution. Can you correct me?
I'm gonna have to look at the code and meet with Tracy on that.
But I believe,
I believe, so it shows that it passed the committee. And I believe it has typically been those who voted for it, but it has to be more research.
Got it.
so Stephen, I'll check that out and get back to you on how we're gonna do that. The only other thing I would say, if we're gonna announce the people, then we have to type their names in, because half of these, I don't know who they are.
Well, there's that too, but.
Chairperson, it's been my understanding that, in my experience, that the committee's jurisdiction, that the resolution is to bring it before the board for consideration. I know I've, at committee level, voted, signed it, and I've told my committee that this doesn't mean necessarily at the county board floor I will support it or not. It's to bring it for discussion.
And that's my recollection.
That's my understanding of what we're doing. Doesn't mean that you favor it or don't favor it. It's just being, you want the board to consider it.
Correct.
Yes and no, Rob. Sorry, Mr.
I think, I think I will do that at a future discussion.
Final point.
But I want to recognize the statement that was just made, and that actually does not address what I just said, which is that I do not know how a constituent looking at that would know, did my representative support the resolution? If you make a comment at a meeting saying, I may not necessarily support it when I get it to board, but I'm going to vote to move it onto the board, that's one thing. You voted yes to support moving it on. You've signed the document to move the resolution on. It's another thing to vote yes or no, maybe to cross something out and or to have no real recognition. So your constituent would not really know technically whether you did or didn't support something by looking at the resolution. I'm just looking for more clarity when we bring these things before the board.
And we will send out a notice to all supervisors based on that discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Who's asking here?
me,
Oh, go ahead.
I believe that would be in the minutes of those meetings.
Yeah, it was.
We will check it out and clarify it for future.
Sorry.
All right, now we know who goes to the name.
There might be one other in this.
All right, any questions on resolution 7, 2020? Clerk will call a roll.
Zorlo,
Aye.
Township,
Aye.
Ottinger.
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Timmons. Timmons,
Aye.
Yeah, you got it.
Schreier,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Showalter,
Aye.
Harris,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Reed,
Nay.
Schultz,
Aye.
Halwinski.
Aye.
16 aye, 1 no, and 4 absent.
16 aye, 1 nay, 4 absent, resolution 7, 2025 passes. Mary, we're gonna go back to resolution 5, 2020. And Stephen, go ahead and ask your question again while Mitch is here.
All right, for the board members that do not know, Mitch Olson is our representative from Bucktussle. Mitch has been probably our lead person, although we work with a bunch of the team. I think the supervisor had a good question. It's something we're currently working on, knowing that winter is upon us. We're not gonna start that construction right now because it would be cost prohibitive. And we're working with ITS and getting the specs, et cetera. But go ahead and repeat that question for Mitch Olson.
Sure. So Mitch, we got an update earlier from Colette on what has been achieved so far, what's being worked on. And specifically, there's language in there that says, work with Land Information Office, Buildings and Grounds Corporation Council to prepare and complete legal easements for access to fiber to county facilities. This aspect of the project is currently under review by executive leadership at Bucktussle. What I asked earlier was, is there in any way, shape, or form any additional cost being incurred by the county to achieve this goal? My understanding was when we went into agreement on all this, that fiber was being run to all county facilities at no cost to the county.
So there was not necessarily a perfect meeting of the minds on where the county's costs started and ended. I did a good job of communicating with you all that lighting the fiber was the county's responsibility, but ultimately the gap is the distance between where the fiber is on the route and the location for the county facility. We have a couple of proposals on how we go about funding this. I've talked with John at length about these, and I don't know how far down that road you want to walk at this meeting before we have a more kind of polished presentation. We're in design on the 9 locations to determine what the ultimate cost for those is going to be. We'll have a couple of different bids with a couple of different contractors, as well as performing that work internally to determine the final cost associated with that. And then ultimately, we need to come up with a solution for how it's going to be paid for. Like I said, John and I have talked about that quite a bit. We have a couple of different models that we're working through. Ultimately, that can't really come full face and make that presentation until we know what those costs are and how all those pieces balance together.
Well, is the potential for any of the BEAD grant funding to be used to cover those costs?
I'd have to look at the specifics of where the locations are. It would be contingent on obviously winning those locations in BEAD, but I would say tentatively, yes. It would cause more delay than we would like to incur, or I guess it would be more a county decision than mine, is you would have to wait until the BEAD process runs and determine whether or not those are awarded before you can incur those costs. But that is ultimately a piece of the puzzle, is some of those are by definition BEAD eligible locations, and so connecting to those would theoretically be allowable expense.
And those locations, what would they primarily be serving?
there are 9 identified county locations which are scattered throughout the county. John probably has a better idea of what those 9 are, but the theory and from discussions with IT is the expectation is that the county is gonna pay for an internet circuit through another provider into this building as well as a backup circuit from us, and then that internet connectivity is going to be used to provide internet access to all of the facilities located along the fiber route. So rather than buying a dedicated internet connection at the solid waste treatment facility is one that I am aware is on the list, you would purchase your internet connectivity here and then pass it along, utilizing the dark fiber.
Yeah, I think the board also appreciates that Mitch and I have, I've taken the position that the paperwork that I was presented and the date that I was given as a project manager, when I was asked to do this, that was part of the overall $28 million package. Same as, and Mitch and I are working through that. The idea that there is a absolute cost savings. Jason and I have talked extensively about owning one phone system versus 3 phone systems or 4 phone systems, for example. Those reoccurring type expenses are gonna go away because you're gonna use our 28 strands of fiber to interconnect those county operations. Solid waste is another huge example that was given to me as the county's #1 priority. I know Supervisor Hess called me, asked me a question, well, what is the timeline for solid waste? Because of an inadequate signal we were getting. And the contractors that are providing that service to solid waste does not work at times. And once we have an established network, it's gonna be a dramatic improvement for services at solid waste, and we're also gonna see those reoccurring expenses go away. So each of those sites that we selected, the big pull was getting our larger map to overlay on top to these facilities. That was absolutely what we were shooting for. We wanted the fiber network to go in front of the Human Service Center, for example. That was occurring a little late when the county told me that they were gonna acquire the Human Service Center. It then became a priority in a discussion with Jason and I. Jason and I have talked about the evolution of priorities, and I'm basing my work and my discussions with Bug Tussle based on what I'm hearing from department heads. Department heads tell me what they're looking for. I then try to incorporate that into our design. And now we're down to literally a mile or less than a mile of construction that we need to accomplish when you add up all these county facilities.
I don't wanna put a number on it until we have kind of the final projections, but really it comes down to that is in our position and from what our intentions were, is that is something that we did not have necessarily budgeted to build up. There is funding available within the bond to do it. It is an allowable expense under the bond, but ultimately it comes down to, do we spend those dollars making the connections to the county facilities, which generate no revenue and don't assist us in making the bond payments back, which we both have a vested interest in, or do we continue to develop and expand our network and ultimately connect your constituency and the people in Oneida County with that $100,000 as we originally intended, and it said 100,000 just as a round number. But again, waiting until we have the final design and the final cost models put together for those, and John and I will continue to work together to ultimately come up with a handful of options, if I had to guess, for how we present it to the county and how we propose ultimately those connections are finally made. In any event, that should all happen within 2025, probably shortly after the construction season opens, be notwithstanding.
So Mitch, my memory of this, because we were the ones who said do the bonding, was it started out at $18 million. Then we talked about connecting all the fire sheds, schools, town halls, and that raised it I believe $6 million in there. We always talked about hooking you up. There was never anybody said, well, that's only to bring it down the road. Our interpretation, like Stephen was, we were hooking all the government facilities up with this original $24 million grant. And now you're telling us maybe that's not gonna happen. And so I think the board, in my mind, I expected it to be hooked up. So however it works out, I would hope that somehow, otherwise you should have said upfront, well, that's gonna be close to your buildings, but you never said that.
Yeah, and I'll definitely wear my share of the blame for not being 100% transparent with what our expectations of intent were. What I did say is that you would be responsible for the connections. What IT heard is providing the lighting and opticals, but not necessarily talking about that last drop lane, which again, my fault for not being clear about where exactly we stood.
Any other questions? Who's got it? Dan?
I got a question on, highway and, solid waste. Do we have an estimated time when that'll be turned on?
I don't have that in front of me. It's early 25 would be the ballpark that I give you. I can drill down with the operations team and give you a more precise date.
It would be nice to know that. I'm on a highway and we don't even have internet over there. I have to use my phone. And highways in the city, which is odd to me.
It's,
In
We have
2025.
a fiber drop that Dan and I could put in this weekend. We just don't want a grievance from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. But the drop that we put in at the highway is literally next to the driveway on county property. Next to the county right of way. So those are the type of things that Bud Tussle did do for us. As you appreciate that overlay. And we did go, Jason did go and budget for the stuff inside the buildings. That was what our expectation was. To the tune of $140,000 in the 2025 budget. That capital expense is paid for. Jason's ready to light that dark fiber up. We just need the fiber into the building.
Thanks, Scott. Chairperson. Yeah,
Rob, go ahead.
and I don't know if corporation comment, I'm not privy to what the agreement was and whether or not, there seems to be some disagreement as to whether or not it includes from whatever the line is. Because that's a long run of solid waste. And if the county's responsible, that's one long run. But just get clarification as to did the agreement include that? And then they'll find if not, then we'll figure out how we get it there, but so just a little disagreement, a little confusion on that.
So Mitch, within the BEAD grant, is that just down the roads or is that connecting to the buildings to 5,600 or whatever?
They're all, the direct connection to the building is all included in the BEAD funding. So that,
Connected to the buildings.
correct. So that has the pretty heavy impact on what the pricing model looks like. But if you know that ahead of time, you can work that all together.
Any other questions, Supervisor Stephen?
Does this in any way have anything to do with our emergency services communications?
We have blue ink on that map. That Mitch indicated is funded. Much of that blue ink will likely match some of the BEAD runs that are gonna be made, which will reduce some of those costs, Stevens, because instead of using our bonding money, we can use, in some cases, BEAD money to get at those towers. Our goal is to have our county fire, EMS, and law enforcement towers hooked up by fiber. The counties that have done that and public safety answering points that are using fiber have found it to be extremely reliable. And then you talk about the old technology. The old technology was microwave. Microwave to move that data. The new technology is fiber. In cases where you get the fiber out to those tower sites, you then can use your microwave as a redundant backhaul. So you have another way of moving that data if you need to. But when the county board made a policy decision to go from 18, whatever million the original discussion was, to $24 million, we were capturing some of these as priorities. That's why you voted the way you did. You voted because you wanted to be aggressive and robust on the design. And then you had the PSC grant. You had the $1.5 million note. You're hovering around $28 million. You know, in my argument back to Mitch and I have enjoyed a very good working relationship. You're using Oneida County's excellent name. Mitch wants Oneida County to be an excellent reference. Bug Tussle does. And if I have to run over to Green Bay, first I'll look at the hockey schedule and see who's in town. I will go over and watch a Gamblers game, and I'll go over to the executive committee and I'll tell them the same thing. You're using Oneida County's good name. We're giving you $28 million. We're using a lot of our goodwill. Let's get this small portion of it done. We're endorsing you for the BEAD grant. You know, we can talk about all the good things that Oneida County's done in this partnership. And, you know, for that, we want some goodwill on this, what is a relatively small amount of acquisition with this small bit of fiber.
So Mitch is looking out for Bug Tussle, John is looking out for us. We have to trust that John will negotiate and get things taken care of. Steven?
I just feel like not including what we're more or less endorsing today through this resolution, we've already endorsed Bug Tussle to the tune of $28 million, including what will be an additional significant sum of money. My strong opposition initially was because we were going to be in a position like this. And now I'm hearing potentially, we may or may not have to be on the hook to pay to complete projects. I get the feeling like this is kind of like the phone system on Green Acres where they had to go up the telephone pole to talk to people because that's as far as it came in. This should not be the type of product Bug Tussle is delivering to a county to the tune of what is currently 28 million and potentially more money if this grant comes through. If anyone here disagrees with me on this, please feel free to correct me or say, yeah, I'm willing to tell my constituents, maybe we need to bond further to cover the rest of the completion on these projects, but the public service part of it, the delivering of service and making sure that we have emergency services that are up to par with what we should be providing for with, you know, to our constituents is the primary concern for me. And that's not to put the 5,000 plus people that we mentioned who would be served through this grant if we get it. But let's be honest. Emergency services should be the priority. That's what we should be focused on. And to make it sound like, yes, we may get you connected at some time in the future, and it may or may not cost you some additional funding, that concerns me. So I agree. I think a little goodwill would go a long way at reassuring myself and hopefully some of the other members of this body when we vote on this resolution.
Okay, Steven, so I think everybody understands this, but I think according to the agenda, I would like to, we clarified that in the BEAD grant, it's going to be hooked up directly to the houses. And I think we should, when John's ready, we'll put this back on the agenda. He can report back what he works out with Bug Tussle, but I think we need to just act on resolution 5, 2025. Okay, Jason, you want to come forward and?
Sure. Just a little clarification from the ITS area. As many of you on the executive committee and the former admin committee know, we've been looking for redundant and failover backup fiber for several years now. I am in negotiations with Bug Tussle and their sales product to make them our portion of it. Even they said, well, once we have your dark fiber hooked up into the buildings and we light it up to ourselves in one big network, that's when we can go forward with that project. Out of the several different ISPs I've talked to since this, just over this last year, because for that, there was nobody around. They came in with the best prices and the best service so far that we've been looking at. So my intention is once that is installed into our buildings and I light it up as our network, that we will engage with Bug Tussle to be our failover and load balancing ISP. We're not gonna get rid of the one we have. The whole idea for load balancing and for failover is that if one goes, the other one picks up, takes over, vice versa.
Okay,
So I want to let you know where we're standing with that, and who we're negotiating with.
At a future county board, we'll bring an update on the current contract with West Tussle and update you guys on where we are. Right now, I want to stick to resolution 5/2020, approving the bead grant application. Any further discussion on the bead grant? Clerk will call a roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Couches.
Aye.
Ottinger.
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Showalter,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Sorgo,
Aye.
Timmons,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Halowinski,
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent. Resolution 5/2025 passes. Resolution 8/2025 offered by supervisors of the executive committee to add a full-time children's long-term support and service coordinator position. Billy?
Mary's still here. Mary's gonna handle the
Issue.
next three.
Okay. I won't fall into that. Go
So
ahead,
the
Mary.
children's long-term support position is a position within the Human Service Department. We have several staff currently that do provide that service. This is a service that we provide to Oneida County residents as well as through contract to Vilas and Forest County. The state, we contract with the state of Wisconsin to provide this service to our residents. It is a service to provide needed services to children with disabilities within our communities. It's a very beneficial service. It costs the county no money to provide. Through our contract with the state of Wisconsin, we are required to provide the service to anybody that applies and is eligible. So we need to watch our caseloads to make sure that we have sufficient staff to serve all children that apply. And so we are at the point where our caseloads are full with our current case managers. So we need to add a position. As I said, there is no tax levy needed. This is fully grant funded.
Any questions for Mary on this? Colin?
I just wanted to understand the timing on this, because it's grant funded, it's coming now when it wasn't part of our decision on how the reorg was going, is that correct?
No, actually, I would prefer to do this as part of the budget process. But because I only got involved directly in the Human Service Center in July, it just took that amount of time for me to figure out exactly what we were providing, how many staff we had, and where we needed additional staffing. So we kind of got through the budget process before I could pull that all together. So normally we would be looking at this in the budget process. But because of the reorganization, I was just kind of saying,
Thank you.
This is all brand new to us. There's gonna be multiple changes over the next 2 years, I'm sure. Rob?
I think the thing I'd like to add to that is the chairman of the committee. I think actually you look at these three resolutions in front of us. We were so fortunate to be able to have Joel and Mary over there, that when we hit the ground here on January 3rd, we took care of some of this already. And we're actually getting to deal with this in January so that we can provide these valuable services to our constituents much quicker, I think, than we would have. So I think it's good that we were there. And you're right, Chairperson, I think we might have a few more as we go along. So that's my only comment as chair of the committee.
Any questions for Mary? Okay, clerk will call a roll.
Almakinder,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Couches,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Ottinger. Timmons,
Aye.
Reed,
Aye.
Sorgo,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Showalter,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Halowinski,
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent. Resolution 8/2025 passes. We'll go on to resolution 9, 2024, offered by supervisors of the executive committee to create a full-time economic support specialist. That should read, those numbers should all read 2025. That's a typo error in the agenda.
That's a January switching over years.
Okay. So it was resolution 9, 2025. Mary, go ahead.
So our economic support positions, and again, we have several within the agency. Just as a reminder, for about the last 12 years now, we've been part of the IM Central Consortium. So the state of Wisconsin decided 12, 13 years ago to change the way that they administer the food share and Medicaid program. And they went to county consortium. So counties basically had to get together with partners within the state, other counties, to develop consortiums. Our consortium is Marathon, Portage, Langlade, and Oneida County. So we serve those 4 counties. So staff in Oneida County could be taking phone calls from folks in Marathon, Portage. We have a call center within our IM Central Consortium. And each county then employs their own staff to provide these services to this 4-county region. The consortium has been working for about 2 years on difficulties that we're having with our call center. So we do operate a call center where people can call in, they can apply for benefits, they can report changes, they can ask questions. And we, through our contract with the state of Wisconsin, have benchmarks on how quickly we should be answering calls. People shouldn't be on call for a long time. And if you looked at our data, we continue to have issues with long wait times on our call center, and it's just not acceptable. The consortium finally decided that even though we tried many efficiencies, we just really need more staff to do this. Again, these positions are fully funded. The consortium is adding 3 new positions. Only one of them is in Oneida County. Another one will be added to Portage, and another one will be added to Langlade. So we are increasing our staffing to 56 economic support workers throughout the consortium, but we're adding 1 new position in Oneida County. This, and like I said, this funding comes through the IM Central Consortium from the state of Wisconsin, so fully funded position.
Questions for Mary? Seeing none, clerk will call roll.
Showalter,
Never mind.
sorry, Showalter,
Sorry. I was out of the office or out of the room for the last 30 seconds, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be talking about.
voting on resolution number 9, 2024, the 2025, sorry, the full-time economic support specialist.
Oh, aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Timmons,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Zorgo,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Freed,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Almakinder,
Aye.
Couches,
Aye.
Halowinski,
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent. Resolution 9, 2025 passes. Resolution 10, 2025, offered by supervisor to the executive committee to add a full-time substance use disorder counselor position. Mary?
So some of you may recall, back in 2023, we did have an operating OWI court within Oneida County. For that court, we need a service provider, a substance use counselor. That was provided through the Human Service Center at that time. In 2023, they notified Oneida County that they would no longer be providing that service. And so since that time, the CJCC through a subcommittee has been working with our local providers, trying to find a provider so that we could get our OWI court back up and running. The OWI court just allows an avenue for folks that have OWIs to get into treatment, as opposed to, going through the criminal justice system and possibly serving jail time. So it's a very valuable, service. It does help us, reduce the amount of OWIs in our county. So after a year and a half of trying to find a private provider, we were not successful. So the CJCC did approve us requesting, suggested we, request adding a position and try to fill that position that way. This position would serve the OWI court in addition to being able to see people within our county through our human service department for substance use counseling, which we tend to have wait lists in that program area as well. Again, this is fully funded through a contract with the Department of Corrections for the OWI court and through billing of Medicaid, Medicare, and insurance for the substance use counseling.
Any questions for Mary? Rob?
Maybe just a comment. I think if you do the literature review on the success of programs like this, throughout other counties in Wisconsin, this is what changes behavior. And this is what changes, hopefully, repeat offenders. So I strongly support this and hope the rest of you will as well.
Anybody else questions? Okay, hearing none, clerk will call a roll.
Cushing,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Schreier.
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Showalter.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Sorgel.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Ottinger.
Aye.
Timmons.
Aye.
Couches.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Halowinski.
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent, resolution 10, 2025 passes. Resolution 11, 2025, offered by Supervisor Rob Jensen to amend the 2025 budget to add 3 new positions to the United County Department of Human Services. I'll need a second to the resolution.
Second.
Okay. Diana, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, actually, I take responsibility for this at the committee level. That when we address the previous 3 resolutions, sometimes you think, well, okay, they're grant funded. But that doesn't matter. We really needed to include in that we're going to amend the budget. So this is something that I guess as a department head, I didn't pay enough attention to, and encourage other department heads to, when you're adding positions, no matter how they're funded, we want to make sure that we have the budget amended at the same time. So that's what got us here.
Which is not amending the budget, it's amending the full-time employees.
Yeah, okay, and full-time employees, correct.
Based on the resolutions that we passed.
Yeah.
Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, the clerk will call a roll.
Schreier.
Aye.
Sorgel.
Aye.
Reed. Ottinger.
Aye.
Hess.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Showalter.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Almakinder.
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Timmons.
Aye.
Cushing.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Couches.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Halowinski.
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent. Resolution 11 and 12 both need 2/3 passage by the full county board, so these 2, we needed 15 votes to pass when we get to the next one. On to resolution 12, 2025, offered by the supervisor of the executive committee to amend the 2025 budget to add funding for the capital improvement fund. Billy?
Is Troy here?
Got going on for the fire suppression system over the law enforcement center for dispatch. We had put $125,000 in for our capital improvement project. The bid came in, and the only bid we got came in at $204,000. We're lacking about $76,000. So we're just doing it as, it's not broke right now, trying to get the system. It's 25 years old. But we had to upgrade the other two systems there already because they did break. Takes about a year to get parts, 6 months to a year. We're just trying to be proactive on this project. And that's what we're coming to you guys for right now. Let's see if we can get the other 76,000, get the project done. It is a safety issue with the law enforcement center. If it does go down, they'd have to move dispatchers to Eagle River and or Wise County. And it's a lot of problems there. It is very, in my opinion, it's a very important project, even more so than the project.
Any questions? Billy?
I'll let Lynn go first.
Lenny, go first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I would like to know if it did go down. Not only the length of time that we're waiting, we would wait to get it up again, but what would be the cost of the equipment we would lose in a failure?
Well, if it did go down, you're probably, I'm guessing with everything in dispatch, you're probably close to $1 million worth of equipment, so.
So $1 million worth of equipment and,
Yeah, Dan probably a little more than me. I'm not the IT guy, so I don't know that. But I think it's probably, yeah, all of them, if not more.
would you like to elaborate more on that, Dan?
Yeah, I know back in, within the last few years, we replaced the fire suppression system in pod, dorm pod and secure pod. This is for the 911 system. 25 years old, it's at end of life. It should be replaced. I mean, you can wait for it to fail, but that's not a good idea to do. I know the price is high due to probably COVID. You could probably go out for additional, see if you can get another company, but then you're gonna end up with a separate maintenance agreement, which is foolish in my opinion. It should be the same fire suppression system that's in the other part of the building. You shouldn't switch it up and have two separate maintenance agreements. So I think it's due to be done, and like he said, if it fails, it's gonna cost. And something that needs to be done 25 years, so.
Okay, so
Thank you.
on the agenda, I went up to take a look because I wasn't sure what they were talking about. There's a, where the dispatch area is, there's a floor system where all the wires run underneath. There's a fire suppressant underneath the floor and above the floor. There's also, and that's a water system. If it goes off, it's going to ruin all that equipment in that one special room. And we determined that we needed to replace it at $125,000. It came in at $205,000, $206,000, but I still believe that whether we do it this year or next year, the one valve that is in there that controls it, it is working right now, but I believe it has failed in the other where we replaced it with the powder. So this is a powder fire suppressant, which probably should have been put in there 25 years ago instead of the water system. So I believe that, I know it doesn't follow the way our KIP programs and that, but we did determine it was a priority, and I think we need to fix it using the general fund to fix it. Billy?
Those of you that are on the Buildings Grounds Committee and Executive Committee have heard my thoughts on it. I'm not gonna reenact it for you. There were some concerns more on the principle of these rising costs and these expenses, you know, and it just gets to be on a financial strategy, so this does not get away from us too fast. I'm talking about the spending of money and what we have in reserves. But like Scott, I took a look at what's going on, and Buildings and Grounds should be actually commended for looking out. We've asked them over the years, instead of just dropping us these emergencies on us, look out for things that are end of life, and that's what they've done here at a time where they were addressing similar systems in the jail. The estimate that came in, it was on the capital improvement, was significantly short. I'd like to see this project go forward. I really don't want to amend our budget for this year at this point. And the question I have is, can we still get this done by moving other pieces around in the budget?
Cause I know you have another KIP project that you're shelving.
Yes, we're shelving the water tower project. Well, next year, we're gonna find a better way to do it than initially thought, so we're shelving it next.
So ideally, the process would be that the KIP committee, which is now the executive committee, would evaluate the projects that were budgeted for 25 and ideally come forward with an amended, and maybe Tina can help me out, but ideally would the process be that we kind of amend the projects utilizing the money that was already allotted in the budget. So this resolution's asking us to bring more money out of our general fund and put it towards capital improvement projects. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't make a big difference, because you're not spending money. And you're just asking for money that wasn't designated for something to be in there, so. I mean, talking it through, I don't wanna take anyone's time, I'm okay with the project, I'm not okay with the price, but that's on a lot of things these days. And I wanna give you the tools to succeed and move forward. My only concern was if this should be contingent on review by the executive committee, because they may come up with ways to use budgeted money already, but it's a bookkeeping thing.
And Billy, my comment on that is that the executive committee already looked at this, determined it was a priority in 2025. If we look at it now and say, wow, now it isn't so much a priority, whether we do it this year or next year, it's already in the budget. We amend the budget, add the 75, and this capital project is done with too. Instead of waiting for future more years with future more capital outlay projects, so. I'm in favor of approving this and not going back and pulling something out of the HIP program that was already, that it was needed to be done in 25. Any other discussion?
Question. So,
Rob,
so,
put your hand up a little bit above.
what I heard him say was that they're willing to delay the 2025 project, that was for.
That's for the water tower.
And how much was that?
Yeah, 160,000, yeah.
So if we delay that, that's gonna push that 2026. Which wouldn't require adjusting 76,250 from the general fund. If they go into the water tower project. What the capital improvement committee could do is, I mean, it's come in and delay that 2025 projects to 2026. Which then would not require reducing the general fund. Am I missing something here?
We did delay the water tower project because the bid we received was beyond our budget.
I can't.
So we felt it could.
Lindsay, who wants to come up to the front?
I think you should let Tina speak, I think.
I know Tina's the one I want to get to the front if you can. Tina, the process has already been approved.
So this is a supplemental appropriation, similar to the one that was approved for Mary. This is actually increasing the expense and increasing the revenue in the budget for 2025. Troy talking about delaying a project is a departmental discussion with this committee jurisdiction, but it doesn't change the legal bucket of money that this body approved. So if this body or a committee would like to remove 2025 funding for the water tower project. And that would be an appropriation, that would be a change to the actual budget. You could do an appropriation transfer, but just saying we plan to delay a project doesn't change the legally adopted 2025 budget.
Yeah, it doesn't say that.
Sure, I'm comfortable, I understand. I mean, I have no problems supporting it, but I understand.
If we decide we wanted to reduce the budget, that would have to be another, this one says just to add for this specific thing. So
I'm fine.
Troy wants to run to his committee and the executive to pull that for a year, that's a separate item. Okay, so we're just on this agenda item. Stephen.
Well, I think it's been proven over the last 3-4 years now. If you want to delay something, you're gonna pay for it in the long run. And whether we want to blame it on COVID or just greed, my guess is it's now more about just greed. You put it off, you take a, take a breather in there, they're gonna come back with a much higher bid in a year's time. So I don't see any gain in putting it off. I think the KIP committee went through, we looked at all these things. Yes, it would have been nice to have the water cooler tower done this year, but if it means putting it off till next year, that seems prudent. As long as we're not compromising anything. I think what we could pay for in the long run, if this system went down, did not do what it's meant to do, is significant. Water cooler, maybe not so much, you know what I mean? So you have to just base it on what would we pay in the long run if we allowed something to fail that right now is working technically.
And that $160,000 project is in the 25 budget. If it doesn't get done in the 25, it goes over to 26.
Yep.
So you're not eliminating that. All we're talking about today is adding the difference to this project to complete this project. Any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll.
Reed,
Aye.
Cushing,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Almakander,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Hess,
Aye.
Showalter,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Ottinger,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Couches,
Aye.
Schreier,
Aye.
Storable,
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Halowinski,
Aye.
17 aye, 4 absent.
17 aye, 4 absent, resolution 12, 2025 passes. Next meeting date will be February 18, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Everyone anxious to get outside?
Oh, yeah.